is no-room-roomatosis.
It makes them all feel better.
I feel better.
Doc McStuffins.
Who the hell are you?
Neighborhood watch.
Maybe you should mind your own business.
I've tried.
What's up with you, Mom? Out of nowhere, you quit your job last month and won't talk about it? You love traveling all over the world, being the big shot at your charity.
It's complicated.
Why isn't it working? Come on.
What in the hell are you two doing?
We were just trying to figure out what Mom's deal is.
Damn straight, so do I. What's wrong with that?
Because this is a big deal for me. I want to remember it as the night I performed in Times Square, not another night Mom bagged last minute because something more important came up. I just want to have this. Okay?
This world is just looking for a reason to put a young black girl on that side of the fence. Don't help them. Super bad. I'm the one you call. But you can't call 911.
Powers Industry, home of new music and entertainment. Power 105, DJ Will, myself, we're in the building. Your boy Ahmed. We have a very special guest in the building.
Big actress, big actress.
Big actress. I love this show. But you know what? She's more than that show. Laya DeLeon Hayes. Right? I'm saying it right?
Laya.
Her whole name?
Laya.
Oh, I said, what did I say?
Laya.
Layla. Oh, I'm thinking
It's
of
a
a boxer.
The Star Wars.
Like Star Wars.
Like Star Wars?
Yeah.
Okay. So, talk to me, man. Like, I'm so excited you're here. Like, I love young people that act. You know what I mean? We've interviewed a lot of premier actors, but, you know, I love young people that are coming up in the game. We know some of the same people.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me. You're from where? How'd you get started in this business? And how old are you?
Okay, well, I'm 17. I was born in the South. I was born in Charlotte, North Carolina. My family is from the South, so both North Carolina and South Carolina, and I lived there for about 2 years until we moved to Texas when I was about 2 years old. And we stayed in Texas for about 6 years, and there is when I had like the most normal life. I was going to regular school. I had a bunch of regular friends, but I was never a very sporty child growing up. I always gravitated to the performing arts. Even when I was like 6 years old, I started with cheerleading. And then I moved on to dancing. And after dancing, it turned into singing. So I immediately had this love for being on stage and performing in front of people. And I got very lucky with my parents who were just supportive of like every single thing that I wanted to do. And that was like straight from the beginning, even if I wasn't in performing arts, like they were always supportive of what I wanted. And there were moments when I would like go on stage and I was like, I want to stay on stage. Like, can I go back up there? And so we had all seen like I was taking like performing very seriously. And then when I was in 3rd grade, I did the morning announcements at my school. And that was like when it all changed.
You mean like when they call you and you make like the announcements?
Yes. Yes.
They'll do that.
They do.
Yeah, they do. That's a big job.
Yep, it was a big job.
It was like really exciting. They even had hall monitors when I was little. You get a little badge and all that.
Yeah.
Hey, get to class.
No, exactly. And like I was a ham, so I was just like eating it up. And it was put on camera. So like we would go into this room and they would record it for the whole school. And then at a certain time it would have like, it would premiere on this Promethean board. That's what they called it. Yep. And so we would like play different characters and it was just a lot of fun. It was all scripted, our morning announcements. And I loved it. I was a Disney kid at the time, so I was watching Disney Channel. I was seeing people like Zendaya on screen. And that was kind of all inspiration to start acting. And I asked my parents shortly after if I could start lessons. They were super supportive of it. And in about 2 years, maybe a year of auditioning in Texas, I was doing a bunch of print work and I wanted to do commercials. I was like, I want to be on Disney Channel and be on TV. That's when my acting coach and my parents were like, you know what, maybe we should just make the big move and take the jump and risk it. And that's when we moved to Los Angeles in 2013. Wow. I was 9 at the time, and I was very lucky. I ended up hitting the ground running. And the opportunities from then just started pouring in. So.
What was the first opportunity?
First opportunity was a commercial. The first maybe month of being out in Los Angeles, I booked an NFL Play 60 commercial. During like the 6-month span of when I got to LA, I booked maybe like 6 projects, but anywhere from 4 to 6 projects, and one of those was my biggest one, which was Doc McStuffins, and I was 9 years old at the time. So.
You are very well spoken.
Oh, thank you.
As a 17-year-old in the business, I've met grown adults who can hardly speak when you're asking them questions. Have you had media training?
No, not really. I have not had much media training. I think it's just having conversations with my parents, honestly. I'm an only child, so it's always been a very open dialogue between me and my family. Even when I was younger, I would talk to them about everything. And from a young age, like my parents didn't really shy away from teaching me things, and they were definitely not ones to sugarcoat things when I started out in this industry. I mean, I was like maybe 1 and I had a TV in my room. So I was 7 and I had a phone in my hand. And it was a bit different than it is now. I wasn't like on apps or anything.
That's pretty average now.
Yeah, it's pretty average now.
2-year-olds running around texting each other.
Exactly, on their
what
iPads.
Time is milk?
Literally. But it wasn't like that for me. Like in 2011 or 2010, like I was just taking pictures or I was just watching TV on my phone, that type of thing. So I think because I have great parents where I've been able to keep that dialogue open, and then on top of that, they haven't sugarcoated or shied away from things for me, has let me, I guess, be more mature for my age. And anyway, that makes sense.
I've been around a lot of young, particularly girls. I have a 14-year-old who's in the house. She is the most outgoing, outspoken, performing, everything, and then when we get her outside or it's time to do a school play or anything like that, she's in her shell.
Oh, for sure.
How did you, it seems like you said you got over it. Is that your parents also who helped you get over that anxiety about being on stage and just having no fear and just going 100%?
Yes. I was a very extroverted kid. I was crazy. I had a lot of energy. But one thing that my parents made sure of when I was younger is like I was never introduced to fear. I mean, like I didn't get spankings or any of that growing up. If there was like an issue at school.
Wait a minute, you said you was raised in the South.
Come
on, man. Come on, man.
Yeah, there was none of that. No, like we moved to Texas.
I remember going down there, and you had to get your own switch.
Yeah, the South is different.
You know what I mean?
See,
Yeah.
I didn't grow up in the South though. My parents did, but like I lived in suburbia for primarily like my whole life. So when
you had a Starbucks.
Yeah, I had a Starbucks. We had a Starbucks. Yeah, it was different.
They got auntie making the coffee and where they from.
Exactly.
I got you.
No, my dad says it all the time. He's like, some of the food that we had when I was growing up, like I want to know where the recipes are, and they literally have no recipe of it. Like it was just them making it from the soul or from the heart. Yeah. I grew up, in like suburbia, Grand Prairie, Texas, and then I went to school in like an even more suburban neighborhood. So when I was younger, like my parents, they almost wanted to change the course of how they were raised, like change the things that they didn't approve of when they were younger and use that to kind of to raise me differently, I guess. And so they never introduced me to fear from a young age. So I would go on stage or sing at recitals and talent shows, and I had like zero nervousness growing up. Even when I had bullies at school, my dad was always there to make sure like, hey, that is not gonna cut it. Like, we're not gonna have that. If a teacher ended up saying something to me, like he would be there and he would say something about it. Mm-hmm. And at the time, like obviously I didn't know what that meant or the impact that would have, but it's definitely helped me now that I'm a teenager, even feeling confident in myself to even sit down on a seat and have a conversation here, or be on the Equalizer and have a conversation with writers and producers. Like, I can do that now because I've had the confidence from a young age, or I've just had that seed be watered consistently since I was very young.
So walk me through your films. before we talk about, before you got to the Equalizer, because that's probably your biggest thing so far, right?
Yes.
All right, so walk me through the other, because a lot of people not going to know that you were the voices behind certain things.
Yeah, like one of the crazy things that happened when I first got out to Los Angeles was I was like put into this world of voiceover, which was something that I had never done before. I didn't even think was an option for actors when I was younger. And Doc, like I said, was like one of the first, well, it was the first voiceover project that I had ever booked. And on top of that, it was the first time that I was ever a lead on a TV show. At the time, I was only 9, so like my singing background that I got when I was younger, that helped for singing the songs on Doc McStuffins. Like the talent show recitals were now working towards the Doc McStuffins songs. And I had worked on Doc. I still do some voiceovers for Doc now, but consistently for episodes, I worked on that show for about 5 years.
Wow. So did you get like, so you're doing a voiceover because now you're behind the scene, right? So did you go, oh, that's me? And kids are like, that's not you.
Oh, all the time. I'd be at Disneyland. I remember one time I was at Disneyland and we were there with a bunch of other voiceover actors who voiced like Miles from Tomorrowland or like Sophia the First, that type of thing. And we just randomly told someone, we were like, hey, we're the voiceover actors who are behind like Doc McStuffins and Miles from Tomorrowland.
Yeah, right.
And they were like, okay, can you do the voice? And we did the voice. And they were like, oh, that was such a wonderful impression. I was like, no, like we
It's
actually
me.
do
What are you
it.
talking
Like it's literally me.
Oh man, I can imagine as a young person, you like, yo, telling the kids that's me, and they're like, yeah, that's not you. And then they're going to watch those shows.
It's different, yeah, especially because the parents are always so excited about it. We've had some experiences where we've like had the parents reach out and say, hey, like, can you call my child? She's turning 4 today, and she wants a call from Doc McStuffins. And we'll be on the phone, and like the child has no idea what's going on. And it's hard to like put 2 and 2 together because it's like a voice behind the face, you know? So they're expecting to see like me in the outfit, or they'll ask questions. Some of the children have asked like, hey, where's Lammy and Stuffy? And I'll have to lie and be like, oh, they're at the checkup house right now.
You do know that there's an app where you can monetize that right now, right?
Serious? Well, what app?
Yeah, I'll talk to Dad about that.
I like it.
I'll talk to Dad about that.
Dad and mom raising her right. She's like, where's that check at?
Where's that?
Yeah, I ain't talking to nobody on no phone without no check.
Yeah.
How has your acting career affected school?
Oh, it's affected it a lot. I mean, when I first got started, I was going to regular public school. And in Texas, I was in regular elementary school. So when I think when I got the last audition for Doc, and we were at like I don't even know what it's called, like a test. It wasn't even a chemistry read because I was the one going in for it. But the director was like, hey, so is she homeschooled? And at the time I was not homeschooled, but I was like, no. And my dad cut me off and she was like, yes, she's homeschooled.
My man.
Yeah.
How difficult?
So we are not stopping this check right now.
Yes.
He said, I'll teach him a dance.
Yeah. But I also think that was like the plan all along too, because it was getting very difficult when I was younger, having to audition while also being in regular school. I left for lunch one day and then I would come back to school and like school was already over. Or we would have to leave at like noon to catch an audition that was in Burbank. And at the time I was like near the beach. So that's like an hour drive. So it was just very hard and it wasn't as flexible with my schedule and how busy it was becoming. And that's when homeschool came into play.
Wow. How difficult is it to memorize those lines?
Oh, that depends. See, when I first got started, it was like my whole world. Like all I thought acting was memorizing lines and then just performing it for people. And then that's another reason why homeschooling was such a better option, because I was memorizing 12 pages of lines in a night, and then I'd have to turn around and wake up for 4th grade, you know? And then I would have to do homework when I got back home, and then it would be the same cycle over and over again. So at first it was more difficult because I put a lot of emphasis on memorizing lines. Now it's more character focused, which has made it easier to remember lines.
Got you.
Is that a lot of improv also?
Yeah, because once you feel more comfortable, you almost use the script as a blueprint, you know? Unless the wording is like they're very specific about the script and the way they want it. And that's how it was when I was younger. Like if you're auditioning for Disney or Nickelodeon, they're very specific about wording. Obviously for voiceover, it's very specific as well. But working on the Equalizer, they give you so much freedom, or a lot of freedom, more so than the comedy shows that I did when I was younger, to just express how you feel the character would express. And that's been a really fun thing to tap into.
Equalizer. Let's get there.
Let's get it.
This is my show.
Let's get there.
I sat there, I was like, really? You know, like, listen, we can get up here.
She told me.
Because on that show, you are off the hook. I'm just like, yo, when you didn't want to sit there and you wanted to go to the movies instead of hanging out with Auntie and
Oh
making
yeah,
that
the
special
cassoulet. Yeah.
I was like, yo. But no, I love you on the show. I think you truly embraced the character.
Thank you.
How did you get casted for the Equalizer?
Well, I got casted, I mean, I was going through like the cycle of pilot season, like any actor does for the first couple months of the year. And my big dream at the moment was just to have a series regular on a show. Like, as every actor wants, like you're just putting in the grind, like you're going out for auditions every single week, just hoping that something is going to stick. But also at the time, I wanted to make sure that it was the right project for me. But I remember reading the script for Equalizer and being so intrigued by it. And on top of that, like it said Queen Latifah was going to be playing my mother. So I was like, I want to work with Queen Latifah, obviously.
You knew who she was before?
Oh, for sure. Okay. Yeah. No, I grew up watching like Set It Off and
cool.
like Just Right, Chicago, all of them. So of course I wanted to work with Queen Latifah, and it was right before the pandemic. It was about 4 auditions in the span of 1 week, and it moved so fast. And after each audition, I came back and I told my parents, I was like, I don't know, like, I feel like I did a really great job, but maybe the energy in the room was kind of off. I'm not sure. After every single one, I would say that, and I was like, I'm not sure, but I really do feel like I did my best as the character and while doing the audition. And by the 4th audition, it was a chemistry read between me and Queen, and it was between 2 other girls. It was me and another person. And that was the last one. I got the call on like a Friday that I had booked the role of Delilah. And I think in 2 days, like by the time we got to Monday, I was on a flight heading to Brooklyn to film the pilot.
Wow.
What was your reaction?
Right,
when
what was that?
The first time you worked with Queen Latifah and Lorraine Toussaint. That's how you say it, right? Lorraine Toussaint.
Ooh, my first reaction.
Because those are some amazing, amazing actresses. Like,
Amazing.
you know, Queen Latifah comes from the world of hip hop, but
sure.
she's one of those people who has transcended and
right.
become like this dynamite woman in the world of act. Like, she has so many movies under her belt, and she's done a phenomenal job. You know what I mean?
For
sure. Lorraine Toussaint,
I know.
like she's really like, I don't know, when I watch that lady, I feel like she's really family. Like she's like, yo, like I don't feel she's acting. I just feel like she's just who she is.
For sure. Like it feels
Is
like
that who
she's
she is
online.
off camera too? Or is it, you know how some people become different and then when they turn it on, when they do this and then they do something?
For sure. Like for Lorraine, they have a lot of similarities, I feel. Like sometimes I'll be in the scene and I'll want to say Lorraine and not Aunt Vi because it feels like I'm just speaking to Lorraine. But that also could just be a testament to how wonderful of an actress she is. And same with Queen, like you said, like starting in the hip hop world and then to absolutely transcend in the acting world has been just amazing to watch. Like to be able to be in a scene with her has been a dream for me. But the first time working with them, I first met Queen during the chemistry read. So I was obviously like very excited and a little nervous, but first thing that I can remember thinking is just how chill she was. Like she just was so laid back. Nothing was really gonna make her go crazy. Like she was just super chill. And even working with her, it's been a very laid back feeling. Like it's not too much pressure. And she allows us that space. I mean, she's #1 on the call sheet. So she kind of sets the tone for how the show is going to flow. And And when she comes into set, and it's just very easygoing, very chill and laid back, it sets the tone for how we all feel on the set. So if anything, I was nervous, but at the same time, like, I was expecting to work with greats. Like, that's the dream. Like, you want that. And so I was at a point when I first auditioned where I just so badly wanted to be a lead. Like, I felt like it was the time and I was ready for it. And when it came, I was ready to shine. And to be able to do it with Queen it's just been a dream come true. Wow.
What was it like when you heard Rick Ross was going to be on there?
Don't play. No. No, actually, wait. Actually, it was very strange. So,
Rose.
No, I went up to him and I said, Maybach music. But yeah, I found...
You really went up to him and said Maybach music?
Yes, I was. No, you don't understand. Like, I was saying, whole lot of dances. I take them everywhere. I see him. Like, I was so excited, and I didn't know. Like, I had read the script, and I didn't know who was going to be playing his character until, like, the night before he was supposed to be on set. I was at a gala for our amazing executive producer, Deborah Martin Chase, and I was speaking to our writer, Joe Wilson, and I was just asking him, like, hey, how's it going? Like, how have you been? He's like, Liz, it's just been crazy. Like, this week we got Rose, and then next week we got Jada Pinkett. And I said, sorry. I'm sorry, back up. I said, Rose as in Rick Ross. He said, yeah, Rose is in Rick Ross. I said, no, you don't understand. My family is like the biggest Rick Ross fans.
So they was on set with you. They made sure that day they was going to be there.
Oh, that was like when...
Your dad was like, yeah, I can't come to work today. Oh.
Exactly. And my dad has been listening to Rick Ross forever. So that's the reason why I know a lot about him. But it was crazy. We had to do like a big turnaround. And I was like, maybe I'll just surprise my dad tomorrow. We'll show up on set and be like, oh no, we got to just do testing for COVID. Like, we'll be fine. And then we'll turn around and be like, hey, there's Rick Ross. Like, he's right behind you. And so with a lot of stress and a lot of spontaneity, we ended up working it out where we could be on set the day Rick Ross was there, which was the next day. And my dad had no idea. It was like a huge surprise for him too. So it was great.
What other
Wait, what's your favorite Rick Ross song?
Wait, yeah.
Ooh.
Or a line.
You got the line.
Yeah. Well, my favorite line is the whole lot of dancers. I take them everywhere. I'm MCM. That might be my favorite song because I've listened to that one since I was like 5 years old. It's so bad. But I've listened to that one since I was 5, and so I know like so much of the lyrics from that song. So probably that one. I do like that song.
What other hip-hop artists you like?
Also, another one that I like is Sanctified. That's a good one too. I like Sanctified.
Wow.
Yeah, Sanctified's a good one.
Have you tried your hand at music?
You know,
I know you sang, but I mean, have you like seriously considered, or right now you just the acting?
Acting is just the main love. Like, singing was first, and then acting came next, and that really became my passion. But I do love music. I love a lot of musicians. I get a lot of inspiration from them. And I like theater, honestly. Like, if I was going to sing or do any type of music, it would be in the acting field. So it would be with some type of musical that I would do for a movie. And that would be the dream right now.
You have a new film coming out. Is it Hannah?
It's called 40, and it's actually, see, that's a low-budget film that I did a couple years ago. And
that's
I don't
what
know
I meant
if
to
that's
ask.
going to
That's
be
what I
put
meant to
out.
say. What was that like?
Well, that experience, it's a movie that I don't even know will come out. We haven't really heard much about it.
Kevin Hart has Soul Plane.
You know? Exactly.
Everybody gets this.
I'm trying to make this sound great. No, but this was before the Equalizer. And
I know.
Yeah, it was okay.
It was your soul plane.
Exactly, it was my soul plane. It was like a time where I just wanted to work. Yep, I just wanted to work. I spent 3 weeks in Iowa with a wonderful cast, but it was an experience that I'll look back on and be like, dang, I can't believe I got through that. So.
Is it true your parents were athletes?
That is true. My mother was a figure skater, and my dad was a football player.
Wow, that is.
Yep. So my mom was hoping that I would become an athlete, and that just did not work out.
You were like, my nails.
Exactly. I was like, I want to be Zendaya on Shake It Up, okay? That's it.
No triple toe Lux spins, none of those?
No. She tried. I do like it, but as a
You
hobby.
like to watch it, right?
I like to watch it. It's fun.
That was really cool. But I'm going to go shoot this film. Right
Exactly. I will play an ice skater, but other than that, I'm good.
Wow, man. You have such an amazing journey. And you just have the same aura as when you're on film.
Oh, thank you.
And it's great. It really is great. And I think you're doing our people justice.
Thank you so much.
You know what I mean? So I don't know you so long, but I do know some people that know you. And if you're in line with the same thing, then we are in definite good hands, and I can see that great things are going to happen on those big screens.
Thank you.
So I'm wishing you the best of luck in your journey. The other question I want to ask you, there was the scene with the girl. I can go through a bunch of scenes, but one of them that stuck out for me in the Equalizer, and I love that you did that. There was a scene with a young lady where she wanted to get a scholarship. And you were hesitant. You wanted to help her do her essay, and the young lady was had never voiced the fact that she'd been Latino or Latina, right? And all of a sudden, because the scholarship came up, she said, "Oh, I'm gonna recognize that part of my life." But prior to that, she never acknowledged it.
Right.
And you in that role were like, "I can't help you, because that's not really who you are." And I feel like you're taking an opportunity from someone else, right?
Right.
I think that's a great life lesson. Has something like that ever really happened to you? Because the way you went in, like I watch you on every show. I love that show, so I watch all the actors on the show, and I watch how they do stuff. And you might just be a dope actress, and that's why you were able to pull it off. But it just seemed like when I was watching that, I was like, is she really like feeling a way? Like, is this bringing back a memory from something? Did you ever have that kind of experience where somebody just was trying to front like they was one thing but wasn't, and now for their benefit they trying to be something else?
I think experiencing, well, one, I just want to say thank you, one, for pointing out that episode, because it really is an important message that we say in the show that I don't really see talked about a lot, and that's assimilating, you know? I don't know if I have maybe experienced the exact same thing that Delilah was experiencing in that moment, but knowing as someone who is biracial, my dad who is Black and my mom who's Filipino, I often have to, I mean, like, me being Black is like a part of me, you know, like when I'm walking on the street, like you see a Black girl, you don't always assume that, oh, she's mixed, or like, oh, she's Asian, you know? So learning more about my Filipino side has been something that I've been trying to do more in the past like 2 years now. And one thing that I've been realizing when I'm talking to my mom or even with my grandma is how when they were immigrants coming to America, like they immediately felt like they had to change themselves. Like almost, it was complete erasure of being of Filipino descent, you know? And that's something that so many immigrants have to go through when you come into this country. And then feeling like, as the daughter or now the granddaughter of immigrants, feeling like that has to be a part of you, or only using it as something when it's convenient is just not something that's right. And I think doing that episode was almost me realizing like, oh my goodness, that's something that probably my mom has gone through, or something that my grandparents had to go through. And that was something that helped me tap into those feelings and the emotions I had in that episode.
I'm telling you, that episode really stood out to me, and the way you played it, and now you made the example of, you know, acknowledging your parents and their diverse backgrounds and where they come from, and, which is attributed to who you are today. I just was like, wow. I'm telling you, it was that episode. Like, you do a lot of dope stuff on the show, but I'm watching the show, but that one just kind of jumped at me, and I was like, yo, did she really, like, experience that?
Man, that makes me happy to hear you say that, because like I really don't feel like that is talked about enough. And when Joe came up to me and he said that was what the next episode was going to be, I was immediately like intrigued by it. So thank you, appreciate it.
No problem.
Do you have friends?
I do have friends. Do I come off as someone without friends?
I guess we're wondering, do you have time?
That is so funny. That's my favorite question. I do have friends. I have two best friends though. I'm the type of person who.
Regular girls?
Yeah. Oh well, actors too.
Oh, see?
I met them in the industry.
That's really probably what I was asking. Do you have regular friends?
Regular friends. I have one, and she's in Texas. And I've been best friends with her since kindergarten.
You notice that regular people can't really understand what you go through?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I have had my best friend from Texas come to LA when I was younger. And at the time, I was friends with a bunch of people on Disney Channel and Nickelodeon. We were both 10 years old, you know? She was seeing people who were on TV in my house, like hanging out with me, sleeping over. And it was almost like a surreal moment, like almost out of body. So it's definitely different. I almost feel the same though, like with people who go to regular school. I'm like, wow, that world is so separate from me, you know? Like I don't know much about that. But also another thing about people in LA who are also actors, I have a wonderful friend, her name's Layla Crawford, and she was on King Richard. And she goes to regular school while also balancing acting at the same time. So you meet so many people who are also in that world too. But when LA is such a bubble, it's great to go to places like Texas or even hang out with my cousins and feel a connection to them because it gives you a little breather.
That's what's up.
That's what's up. So I want to thank you for hanging out with us and sharing with everybody your experience, your journey. Like, I just think it's going to be a dope time. Like I told you, I know a lot of actors coming up in the game. I have to definitely big up my man, Michael Rainey. I've known him since he was like this.
I just started watching Power.
Just,
yeah.
No way.
I know. And I watched all of Raising Kanan too. Shout out to Mekhi Curtis.
Yeah,
He's on there. But yeah, it's great.
So I have one more question. How prepared are you? Because right now you're in a young actress mode, right? But you're reaching that point where you're not going to be that young girl anymore.
It's about to be over.
Yeah.
And you're about to journey into this other place.
World,
you know, how are you preparing for that?
That's a true thing. And it's something like
Because I imagine, you have to audition differently. You have to start
yeah.
to move differently. You're not that Nickelodeon girl anymore. You're
No.
not from Kung Fu Panda anymore.
No.
You are now, you know.
Yep. I mean, all of the Disney, Nickelodeon, even the guest star roles that I had on like Quantico and Code Black, like all of that prepped me for this opportunity for Equalizer. Being on the Equalizer has allowed me to work with primarily adults. I booked Equalizer when I was 15. So being 17 now, I'm still a minor and I'm still working with a bunch of veterans who've been doing this for years. That's definitely been like, okay, I'm moving on to a different type of world when it comes to this industry. But the best thing about it is like, there's been phases of my career that I can point out. Like when I first got started, it was focused on being a child actress, like doing the comedies that were multi-camera, all of that type of stuff. Then when I turned 13, there was like a shift. I wanted to be doing movies. I wanted to be taken more seriously. And that type of shift has kind of kept going for a while now. Now I'm in a stage where I don't want to limit myself to what I want to do. So the way that I'm prepping for it is just changing, just being open to that change. My parents have to prepare me for that because it's going to be a point in time when they're not going to be here, you know, or they're not going to be here to take me to auditions, or they're not going to be there with me all the way on set. So just making sure that I'm taking advantage of the opportunity I have right in front of me on Equalizer to learn from the adult actors on set or from the writers, or just to put my ear in like every single conversation that I possibly can do and have, has been helping a lot. And understanding like the business part of this industry. because that's not something that I had to focus on when I first got started.
How recognizable are you in the streets? People stop you for pictures all the time.
Sometimes. With COVID, it makes it hard though.
Right.
You know, having a mask on all the time, and we're super diligent because we have to get tested constantly. So honestly, it hasn't been too bad. Now, when I'm back in the South though, and like my family knows that I'm coming to town, it's insane. But I wouldn't trade it for the world.
That's a fact.
That's what's up.
Gotta love it.
So tell everybody how they can get in contact with, if they want to hit you up, fans and all that.
Sure, okay.
What's your social media handles?
Well, you can follow me on my Instagram, that is at Laya DeLeon Hayes. My Twitter, at Laya Hayes. I do have a TikTok too, which is at Laya Hayes 22. And watch The Equalizer every Sunday on CBS at 8 p.m. I play Delilah.
Dope.
Powers Industry, home of new music and entertainment. Power 105 DJ Will in the building with me. Thank you for hanging out.
Thank you.